الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم صدا ومن خلفهم صدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلهة يردن الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا سيئة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض ميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها هبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى ذاك الأرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم انفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا ونتم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في زلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا سيئة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في السور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا سيئة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في زلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أحد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد زل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مزيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكس في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحيي الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. صلوات.
This Surah Yasin recited for the following Marhumin: Marhuma Zainab by Haji Merali Premji Haji, Marhuma Fiza by Gulshan Bojani, and Kul Marhumin. Al-Fatiha.
By your mercy, which embraces all things, and by your strength, through which you dominate all things, and toward which all things are humble, and before which all things are lowly, and by your invincibility, through which you overwhelm all things, and by your might, which nothing can resist, and by your tremendousness, which has filled all things, by your force, which towers over all things, and by your face, which subsists after the annihilation of all things, and by your names, which have filled the foundations of all things, and by your knowledge, which encompasses all things, and by the light of your face, through which all things are illumined. O light, all holy, O first of those who are first, and O last of those who are last. O Allah, forgive me those sins which tear apart safeguards. O Allah, forgive me those sins which draw down adversities. O Allah, forgive me those sins which alter blessings. O Allah, forgive me those sins which hold back supplication. O Allah, forgive me those sins which cut down the hopes. O Allah, forgive me those sins which draw down tribulation. O Allah, forgive me every sin I have committed and every mistake I have made. O Allah, verily I seek nearness to you through remembrance of you, and I seek intercession from you with yourself, and I ask you through your munificence to bring me near to your proximity, and to provide me with gratitude toward you, and to inspire me with your remembrance. O Allah, verily I ask you with the asking of a submissive, a base and lowly man, to show me forbearance, to have mercy on me, and to make me satisfied and content with your appointment, and make me humble in every state. O Allah, I ask you the question of one whose indigence is extreme, and who has stated to you in difficulties his need, and whose desire for what is with you has become great. O Allah, your force is tremendous, your place is lofty, and your deception is hidden. Your command is manifest, and your domination is overwhelming. Your power is unhindered, and escape from your governance is impossible. O Allah, I find no forgiver of my sins, no concealer of my ugly acts, no transformer of any of my ugly acts into good acts but you. There is no God but you. Glory be to you, and yours is the praise. I have wronged myself, and I have been audacious in my ignorance, and I have depended upon your ancient remembrance of me and your favor toward me. O Allah, O my protector, how many ugly things you have concealed, how many burdensome tribulations you have abolished, and how many stumbles you have prevented, and how many ordeals you have repelled. And how much beautiful praise for which I was unworthy you have spread abroad. O Allah, my tribulation is tremendous, and my bad state is excessive, and my acts are inadequate, and my fetters have tied me down, and my far-fetched hopes have held me back from my gain. And this world with its delusions, my own soul with its offenses, and my delay have deceived me. O my Master, so I ask you by your might not to let my evil works and acts veil my supplication from you, and not to disgrace me through the hidden things you know of my secret, and not to hasten me to punishment for what I have done in private, my evil acts in secrecy, and my misdeeds, and my continuous negligence, and my ignorance, and my manifold passions, and my forgetfulness. And by your might, O Allah, be kind to me in all states, and be gracious to me in all affairs. My God and my Lord, have I any one but you from whom to ask removal of my affliction and regard for my affairs? My God and my protector, you put into effect through me a decree in which I followed the caprice of my own soul, and I did not remain weary of adorning my enemy. So he deluded me through my soul's caprice, and therein destiny favored him. So in what was put into effect through me in that situation, I transgressed some of your statutes and disobeyed some of your commands. So yours is the argument against me in all of that. I have no argument in what your destiny put into effect through me therein, nor in what your decree and your tribulation impose upon me. Now I have come to you, my God, after my shortcoming and my immoderation toward myself, proffering my excuse, regretful, broken, apologizing, asking forgiveness, repenting, acknowledging, submissive, confessing. I find no place to flee from what occurred through me, nor any place of escape to which I may turn in my affairs, other than your acceptance of my excuse and your entering me into the compass of your mercy. O Allah, so accept my excuse. Have mercy upon the severity of my affliction, and release me from the tightness of my fetters. My Lord, have mercy upon the weakness of my body, the thinness of my skin, and the frailty of my bones. O you who gave rise to my creation, to the remembrance of me, to the nurture of me, to goodness toward me, and to nourishment on me. Bestow upon me for the sake of your having given rise to me with generosity and your previous goodness to me. O Allah, my Master and my Lord, can you see yourself tormenting me with your fire after I have professed your unity, and after the knowledge of you my heart has embraced, and the remembrance of you my tongue has constantly mentioned, and the love of you to which my mind has clung, and after the sincerity of my confession and my supplication, humble before your Lordship, far be it from you. You are more generous than that. You should squander him whom you have nurtured, or banish him whom you have brought high, or drive away him whom you have given an abode, or submit to tribulation him whom you have spared and shown mercy. Would that I knew my Master, my God and my Protector, whether you will give the fire dominion over faces fallen down prostrate before your tremendousness, and over tongues voicing sincerely the profession of your unity and giving thanks to you in praise, and over hearts acknowledging your divinity through verification, and over minds encompassing knowledge of you until they have become humble, and over bodily members speeding to the places of your worship in obedience and beckoning for your forgiveness in submission. No such opinion is held over you, nor has such been reported. Thanks to your bounty concerning you, O all generous, my Lord, and you know my weakness before a little of this world's tribulations and punishments, and before those ordeals which befall its inhabitants, even though it is a tribulation and ordeal whose stay is short, whose subsistence is but little, and whose period is but fleeting. So how can I endure the tribulations of the next world and the great ordeals that occur within it? For it is a tribulation whose period is long, whose station endures, and whose sufferers are given no respite, since it only occurs as a result of your wrath, your vengeance, and your anger, and these cannot be withstood by the heavens and the earth. O Master, so what about me? For I am your weak, lowly, base, wretched, and miserable slave. My God, my Lord, my my Master, my Protector. For which things would I complain to you, and for which of them would I lament and weep? For the pain and severity of the chastisement, or for the length and period of tribulation? So if you take me to the punishments with your enemies, and gather me with the people of your tribulation, and separate me from your friends and saints, then suppose, my God, my Master, my Protector, and my Lord, that I am able to endure your chastisement, how can I endure separation from you? And suppose that I am able to endure the heat of your fire, how can I endure not gazing upon your generosity? Or how can I dwell in the fire while my hope is your pardon? So by your might, my Master and my Protector, I swear sincerely, if you leave me with the speech, I will lament to you from the midst of the fire's inhabitants with lamentation of the hopeful. I will cry to you with the cry of those crying for help. I will weep to you with the weeping of the bereft, and I will call to you, where are you, O sponsor of the believers? O goal of the hopes of your knowers, O aid of those who seek assistance, O friend of the hearts of the sincere, and O God of all the world's inhabitants. Can you see yourself? Glory be to you, my God, and yours is the praise, the hearing within the fire, the voice of a slave surrendered to you, imprisoned there because of his violations, tasting the favor of its torment because of his disobedience, and confined within its levels because of his sin and crime, while he laments to you with the lament of one hopeful for your mercy, and calls to you with the tongue of those who profess your unity, and entreats you by your lordship, my Protector. So how should he remain in the chastisement while he has hope for your previous clemency? Or how should the fire cause him pain while he expects your bounty and mercy? Or how should its flames burn him while you hear his voice and see his place? Or how should its groaning encompass him while you know his weakness? Or how should he be convulsed among its levels while you know his sincerity? Or how should its keepers torture him while he calls out to you, O Lord? Or how should he have hope of your bounty in freeing him from it while you abandon him within it? Far be it from you. That is not what is expected of you, nor what is well known of your bounty, nor it is similar to the goodness and kindness you have shown to those who profess your unity. So I declare with certainty that were it not for what you have decreed concerning the chastisement of your deniers, and what you have foreordained concerning the everlasting home of those who stubbornly resist, you would make the fire, all of it, coolness and safety, and no one would have a place of rest or abode within it. But you, holy are your names, has sworn that you will fill it with the unbelievers, both jinn and men together, and that you will place those who stubbornly resist therein forever. And you, majestic is your eulogy said at the beginning, and went gracious through kindness as a favor. What is he who has been believer like unto him who has been ungodly? They are not equal. My God and my Master, so I ask you by the power you have apportioned, and by the decision which you have determined and imposed, and through which you have overcome him toward whom it has been put into effect, that you forgive me in this night and at this hour every offense I have committed, and every sin I have performed, and every ugly thing I have concealed, and every folly I have enacted, whether I have hidden or announced it, or I have concealed it or manifested it, and every evil act which you have commanded the noble writers to record, those whom you have appointed to watch over what appears from me, and whom you have made along with my bodily members witness against me. And you was yourself the watcher over me from behind them, and the witness of what is hidden from them. But through your mercy you concealed it, and through your bounty you veiled it. And I ask you that you bestow upon me an abundant share of every good you send down, or kindness you confer, or goodness you unfold, or provision you spread out, or sin you forgave, or error you covered. My Lord, my Lord, my Lord, my God, my Master, my Protector, owner of my freedom, O he in whose hand is my forelock, O he who knows my affliction and my misery, O he who is aware of my poverty and indigence. My Lord, my Lord, my Lord, I ask you by your truth and your holiness, and the greatest of your attributes and names, that you make my times in the night and the day inhabited by your remembrance, and join to your service, and my works acceptable to you, so that my works and my litanies may all be a single litany, and my occupation with your service everlasting. My Master, O he upon whom I depend, O he to whom I complain about my state. My Lord, my Lord, my Lord, strengthen my bodily members in your service, and fortify my ribs in determination, and bestow upon me earnestness in my fear of you, and continuity in my being joined to your service, so that I may move easily toward you in the battlefields of the foremost, and hurry to you among the prominent, and desire fervently your proximity among the fervently desirous, and move nearer to you with the nearness of the sincere, and fear you with the fear of those who have certitude, and gather with the believers in your vicinity. O Allah, whoever desires evil for me, desire it for him. Whoever deceives me, deceive him. And make me one of the most excellent of your slaves in portion from you, and the nearest of them in station to you, and the most elected of them in proximity to you. For that cannot be attained except by your bounty, and grant generously to me through your munificence, and incline toward me with your splendor, and protect me with your mercy, and make my tongue remember you without ceasing, and my heart enthralled by your love, and be gracious to me by answering me favorably, and nullify my slips, and forgive my lapses. For you have decreed your worship for your servants, and commanded them to supplicate you, and assured them that they would be answered. So toward you, my Lord, I have turned my face. And toward you, my Lord, I have extended my hand. So by your might comply with my supplication, and make me attain my desires. Do not sever my hoping for your favors, and spare me the evil of my enemies from among the jinn and men. O he whose pleasure is quickly achieved, forgive him who owns nothing but supplication, for you do what you will. O he whose name is a remedy, and whose remembrance is a cure, and whose obedience is a wealth, have mercy upon him whose capital is a hope, and whose weapon is tears. O ample in blessings, O repeller of adversities, O light of those who are lonely in the darkness, O Noah who was never taught. Bless Muhammad and Muhammad's household, and do with me what is worthy of you. And Allah bless His Messenger and the holy Imams of His household, and give them abundant peace.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع لذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد، ثم الصلاة والسلام على آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. وفقنا الله وإياكم بعلم وعمل صالح إن شاء الله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we begin, let us recite the Surah Al-Fatiha for Marhum Abatul Hussein Haji Kareem, inshaAllah. And of course, all of those who are ill at the moment because of the current circumstances. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Secondly, before we begin the Q&A session, of course, tonight being the first of Sha'aban, well, we've just entered the month of Sha'aban. The month of Sha'aban, just to repeat the words that I mentioned during the beginning of the month of Rajab, the month of Rajab and the month of Sha'aban are seen as an introduction towards the month of Ramadan. When a mu'min, when a Muslim, a person who follows the Holy Quran and the teachings of the Ahl al-Bayt, enter the month of Ramadan, we enter the month of Ramadan with the intention of changing ourselves. So there has to be some form of program that we have established or we plan to establish before entering the month of Ramadan. So we use the environment of the month of Ramadan, using fasting and of course all of the things that we make haram upon ourselves to create a change within our lives, whatever or however small it may be. If there is a particular sin that I want to refrain from, that I want to stop committing, I use the platform of the month of Ramadan to utilize that change or to create that change. If there's a good deed that I want to establish, I use the month of Ramadan to create that change. Now, unfortunately, many of us, what happens is, and of course I speak to myself first before speaking to anyone else, what happens is when we enter the month of Ramadan, we don't really have this in mind. We're not heedful of this. We're mindless of the whole idea of creating a change in our lives. So what happens is we enter the month of Ramadan, and a week later, 2 weeks in, literally 3 weeks in, we decide to change something within ourselves. And that's usually done during the night of Qadr, Laylatul Qadr, which is of course greater than 1,000 months. We understand the glory of the night of Qadr and we use that platform, that time to try and create a change for ourselves. Not knowing that change does not come overnight. It's not a flick of a switch. Change happens over a gradual period of time. And usually, according to the advices of the ulama, we use the platform, the time of the month of Rajab and the time of the month of Sha'aban to slowly create that change we want to make within our lives. We use the month of Ramadan to try and emphasize that change, to the extent that when I come out of the month of Ramadan, I've already integrated a new practice within my lifestyle. I've integrated it now within my lifestyle and it's now a part of me. Change does not come overnight. Change starts from now. We use the platform, we use the time of the month of Sha'aban to create that change, inshallah. And of course, many of the mustahabbat which are mentioned within the riwayat of the Ahl al-Bayt, some of these mustahabbat, for example, is the recitation of Munajat al-Sha'baniyah. A very beautiful munajat. May Allah give us the tawfiq to actively recite this dua every night during the month of Sha'ban. Number 2, sadaqah. Of course, sadaqah is something which is advocated throughout the year, but the rewards of it are magnified during the month of Sha'ban, and of course even more magnified during the month of Ramadan. And number 3, the recitation of the Holy Quran in general. It's very difficult for a person to establish the recitation, the habit of the recitation of the month of the Holy Quran during the month of Ramadan. But let's start from the month of Sha'ban. Let's try and build up that habit slowly so that when we enter the month of Ramadan, it becomes easier for us. To the extent that when we leave the month of Ramadan, the idea or the act of recitation of the Holy Quran is still there within our lifestyle. Last week in our Q&A discussion, we spoke about the idea of hoarding, the idea of panic buying things in advance for the foreseeable future. Interestingly enough, in the past week, that the hype of panic buying, the hype of buying things in bulk, and has deteriorated. It's depleted significantly. It's still there. You walk into the supermarkets, for example, many of the shelves are empty, but the hype, I feel, has died down. Interestingly enough, if you look towards America, Costco, for example, have announced that they will no longer be giving refunds to hand sanitizers, toilet paper. So people who have bulk buyed, they've actually actively hoarded these items can no longer get refunded. It's as if they've shot themselves in the foot for behaving in such a way. From an Islamic perspective, we said that hoarding is not a bad thing in itself, especially for a person who is dependent or a person who has many people dependent on him. So a person may buy many things in advance to simply look after his family. He's fearful that he may not be able to look after his family, so he tries to plan in advance. What we said, what is condemned within the riwayat of the Ahlul Bayt is when a person buys something with the intention to sell it off in the market at a higher price, especially in times of distress, in times of fear that already exists within the environment. That is condemned. When a person panic buys, no, he doesn't panic buy, he buys lots in advance with the intention to make a profit from it in times of need. We have a new question that has come in. What is the position of industrial alcohol? Is it tahir or is it najis? It depends on who you follow. Best thing to do is to refer to the marja that you follow. I know that Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani and Marhum Ayatollah Al-Khou'i consider industrial alcohol as tahir. So hand sanitizers, which are mostly used given the current circumstances, are tahir. They're considered to be pure according to these two maraja. There are some maraja who consider it to be najis. So when you use hand sanitizers, the liquid itself is considered to be najis, because industrial alcohol, according to their opinions, according to their research and conclusions, is considered to be najis. So if you follow a marja who is not Ayatollah Sistani or Ayatollah Khou'i, best thing to do is to refer what they have to say with regards to this particular ruling. I know Sheikh Bashir al-Najafi, may Allah prolong his life, he considers the using of industrial alcohol as najis. And there are a few amongst the maraja as well. The second question is, why do we call ourselves the Ja'fari school of thought? Is Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam the initiator of the Ja'fari school of thought? It's a very interesting question, very good question. When we speak about the schools of thought within the religion of Islam, there are 5. The Ja'fari, which we belong to, the Hanbalis, the Hanafis, the Malikis, and the Shafi'is. These are considered to be the 5 schools of thought within the religion of Islam. The 5 famous schools of thought within the religion of Islam. This entire discussion comes from a fiqh background, from a fiqh perspective. So it's talking about fiqh specifically. Which school of madhab in terms of fiqh do you follow? And you can follow any of the 5. Of course, the Ahl Sunnah follow any of the 4, and we follow the fiqh interpretations of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam. Does that mean that he is the initiator of the Ja'fari school of thought? He's the initiator of the Shi'i madhab? No, that's not what it means. It means that Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam, when you read his biography and his history, especially the political history surrounding his life, we find that because there was a lot of flexibility given to him, and there was a lot of easiness from a political perspective in his life, he was able to expound on the religion of Islam, the madhab of Rasulullah, the teachings of Rasulullah in the best way possible. For that reason, his school is known as the Ja'fari school of thought. Interestingly, if you refer to the books of history, specifically looking at Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, the companions that were there with Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, historians explain that they were able to accumulate enough riwayat, and from these riwayat they were able to produce 11 books. They were able to author 11 books under the name of Imam Zain al-Abidin. Of course, some of these books are Risalat al-Huquq and Sahifa al-Sajjadiyya and so on and so forth. At the time of Imam Baqir alayhi salam, the companions were able to gather enough riwayat to the extent that they were able to produce 32 books. When you look at the history of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, the companions were able to gather enough riwayat that they were able to compose, they were able to author 302 books. 302 books. At the time of Imam Baqir, only 32 books were authored. By the time of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, it jumped from 32 all the way to 302. So you can imagine and you can appreciate how much information Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was able to deliver to his people to his companions, to his the people who were close to him, that they were able to author so many books. Because of the political easiness that existed in the time of the Imam alayhi salam, he was able to expand on the madhab of the Holy Prophet of Islam. It doesn't mean that he was the one who initiated the madhab of the Ja'fari, of the Imami. It means that he was able to expand and just give information about it. Our madhab goes back and is rooted towards the Holy Prophet of Islam. The Holy Prophet of Islam is the one who established the Imami school of thought, especially on the day of Ghadir al-Khum, when he passed down the leadership to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Whereas when you compare this to the other schools of thought, it's different with them. When you look at the Hanafis, for example, the Hanafis, their school of thought was established and it began by Abu Hanifa. So the root of their school of thought goes back to Abu Hanifa. When you look at, for example, the Malikis, again, Malik ibn Anas was the root, or was the one who established the Maliki school of thought. Shafi, likewise, he was the one who established the Shafi'i school of thought, and Abu Hanifa was the one who established the Hanafi school of thought, or Hanbal, if I've not mentioned Hanbal. Unfortunately, you find that there are certain historians, they use the same principle with us. They said, no, the Shi'as, they are known as the Ja'fari because Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam was the one who established the Ja'fari school of thought. No, that's not true. He was the one who opened up the doors of knowledge. And that's why we refer ourselves to the Ja'fari madhab, going back to Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. Third question is, does the 12th Imam have any wives or children? Wife or wives or children? Very good question. It's an age-old question that people have asked many, many scholars throughout history. When we examine the life of Imam al-Hujjah, Jalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, there's no concrete evidences available to us that speaks about his private life, except for the first 5 years of his life. Even the first 5 years of his life, it's not, there's not much information available to us. As soon as the Imam goes into Ghaybat al-Sughra, and then after that Ghaybat al-Kubra, there's not much information with respects to his private life, even his professional life. I mean, some scholars will agree to say that, even his role as an Imam is not, it's not that clear to us the way it is clear to us with regards to the first 11 Imams, but that's a different discussion. There are many different possibilities. Because we don't have concrete evidences to speak about his private life, it's open to all different types of possibilities and probabilities. And therefore, based on that, scholars have given three possibilities. The first is that he has not married, and therefore, as a result, he has no children. The second possibility is he has married, or he is married, but he has no children. And the third possibility is that he is married, or he has married and he has had children before. As for the first possibility, that he has not married and he has no children, many of the scholars chose not to believe in this, and the reason being is because it goes against the sunnah of Rasulullah. And of course, the Holy Prophet of Islam is very clear with respects to this, that the one who does not marry is not from is not following my sunnah. So how is it that his grandson, who is considered to be one of the 12 leaders, has not married, has not followed the sunnah of the grandfather, Rasulullah? The answer that was given by the scholars is no. When you come from the Imam's perspective, you have to understand that the Imam has two trade-offs. He has the trade-off between what is important and what is more important. There's a difference between something being important and something having more importance. It's important for the Imam to get married because it's part of the sunnah, but it's more important for him to be in ghaiba and to hold his responsibilities of being in ghaiba. And because being in ghaiba is more important than getting married, he has to focus on the idea of being in ghaiba and not marrying. Of course, this opinion was not very much accepted. it has been rejected by certain scholars. And the opinions or the rebuttals given to this is, number one, the Imam can marry someone and not expose himself as the Imam. That's very much possible. We believe this. This is part of our Aqidah. When we say that the Imam is in Ghaibah, it doesn't mean that he's physically away from us. It doesn't mean that he's living in an island isolated from the rest of the world. It means that the Imam is living with us. He eats the same food as we do. He perhaps, joins the same congregations as we do. We've perhaps even seen him. According to the riwayat, it says that when the Imam performs his dhuhr, when he returns, people will say, oh, we've seen him before. He won't be a stranger to many. For example, in other riwayats, we have that he actually performs Hajj when we perform Hajj. So he's there in Arafah, he's there in Mina. So he is a person who lives amongst us. What's in Ghaibah is his identity. People don't recognize him as the Imam. Perhaps some of us have even spoken to him, but not knowing that he is the Imam of the time. So it's very much possible for him to marry someone without exposing to that person what his identity is. So you found some scholars, they were more comfortable believing that the Imam has married or is married. The Imam has been alive for 1,000 years. Perhaps he may have married many women during these 1,000 years. Perhaps, he has married many women during these 1,000 years. So the flexibility of believing the second possibility that the Imam did have wives is an open possibility. Again, we don't have evidences to show that this is the truth and this is yaqeen. No, it's a possibility. Ihtamalan, perhaps the Imam may have married, or perhaps the Imam is married. The third possibility that the Imam is married and has children, this is something that's not accepted by majority of the scholars, simply because it's very much possible for one of the lineages to figure out that he is the son or daughter, or he comes from the lineage of the Imam alayhi salam. So that overcomplicates the issue a bit. So many scholars tend not to speak about the third possibility. It's something that's of the extreme nature. So I hope that answers the question, inshallah. There's a question: if an elderly neighbor who can't shop herself asks one to get her some provisions, including haram meat, say haram chicken or ham, can we do so, or should we make an excuse that it was run out or refuse? For alcohol, obviously one wouldn't buy it. So does that apply to pork and other haram meats? As far as my research is concerned, yes, it's not permissible. So the question is, if a person has an elderly neighbor who cannot shop for herself, and if she was to ask you, a mu'min or a mu'mina, to shop for them, which includes buying alcohol or meat which is not halal, ham, pork, and so on and so forth, is that permissible? Considering that you're not spending your own money, you're spending their money. The only thing that happens here is that you're using your energy and your time to buy the products for them. According to my research, even that's not permissible. The idea of buying something which is haram for the non-Muslim neighbor, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's not permissible. It carries the same law as alcohol, unfortunately for the neighbor. If you have any questions, please do send. I'll be very much happy to discuss them, inshallah. What is the difference between Quran and Hadith al-Qudsi? Is Ziyarat Ashura considered to be Hadith al-Qudsi? Ahsant. With regards to, it's a very, very interesting question. The reason being because Hadith al-Qudsi and the Quran, the narrators of both are considered to be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what's the difference between Quran and Hadith al-Qudsi? There are a few differences, textbook differences. The Quran is considered to be a miracle of Allah subhanahu of the Holy Prophet of Islam. It's considered to be a living mu'jiza. a perpetual mu'jiza, meaning that it will continue to remain as a a miracle until the day of judgment. Whereas Hadith al-Qudsi is not considered to be a miracle. Hadith al-Qudsi are words of Allah, but are not considered to be a miracle. It does not carry the weight, the eloquence, the superiority in terms of its language and balagha and so on and so forth, rhetoric, the way the Quran does. That's the first difference. The second difference is obviously the fiqh differences. لا يمسه إلا المطهرون, for example, the Quran says, with regards to the establishment of the Holy Quran. A person cannot touch the writing of the Holy Quran without being in a state of tahara, without being in a state of wudu or ghusl, whatever, without being in a state of tahara. With regards to Hadith al-Qudsi, no, we don't find this to be, we don't find this within our ahkam, that a person has to be in the state of wudu to be able to touch the writings of Hadith al-Qudsi. So that's the second difference. The third difference is with regards to the ability to paraphrase. When Allah reveals to the Holy Prophet, when Allah reveals to the Holy Prophet of Islam, the Prophet of Islam can paraphrase it. Hadith al-Qudsi specifically, he can paraphrase Hadith al-Qudsi. So he may not be able to, or he may not want to reveal to the people the exact words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can paraphrase it according to his own wisdom and knowledge and deliver the same message to the people. Whereas the Quran, no, the Prophet has no right to paraphrase the message of the Holy Quran. He has to deliver it the way it was delivered to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, one other difference, it escapes my mind. One other difference between Hadith al-Qudsi and the Quran, we'll leave that for now, inshallah. Is Ziyarat Ashura considered to be Hadith al-Qudsi? Ziyarat Ashura, interestingly, I've heard some scholars talk about this, that it is considered to be Hadith al-Qudsi, but according to my research, I've not come across this. It is considered to be authentic. There are many scholars who have done the research to show and to prove that Ziyarat Ashura is indeed authentic, but is it to the level of Hadith al-Qudsi? It's beyond me to say. For example, when you refer to the works of Ayatollah Sheikh Jawad al-Tabrizi, if I'm not mistaken, rahmatullah alayh, who passed away, I think, in 2006, 2007, he has a book that looks at the chain of narrators of Ziyarat Ashura, and he concludes by saying that it is no doubt considered to be authentic. And of course, Ayatollah Ja'far Subhani has an article on this which has been translated in English, and according to his research, of course, he says that it is considered to be authentic as well. With regards to the authenticity of Ziyarat Ashura, there is no shadow of a doubt. It is considered to be authentic. But is it considered to be to the level of Hadith al-Qudsi? I'm not too sure about that. What is the meaning of the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's a very interesting question. Very interesting question. So we find this in the Holy Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes refers to himself and his anger. And at times he refers to his pleasure as well. Now when you attribute this to the human beings, insan, the anger of insan is such that, there are certain physical changes that we go through. If I'm angry, I behave in a particular way. There are certain chemicals that flow through my body. There are thoughts that come into my head, which are then projected into words and actions and so on and so forth. Likewise, when I am in the state of pleasure, when I'm happy, again, there are certain things that I do physically. Does this, or is this applicable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Very interesting. If we say yes, then it means that Allah has a physical body and He reacts in the same way as we do. That means that Allah is in need of those physical aspects, and Allah is in, He loses control, for example, in the state of anger and so on and so forth. That goes against the whole idea and the whole concept of Tawheed. when the Quran talks about the anger of Allah and the pleasure of Allah, this is an expression. The anger of Allah is an expression to His adhab. The pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is an expression to thawab. So when Allah says that there are those in the world who abide by the Sharia, those who abide by what is halal and what is haram, they perform the halal and the wajib, and they leave aside the haram, and they prevent themselves from performing that which is haram. They are the ones who seek, they are the ones whom, they make Allah happy. Allah is pleased with them, meaning that they attract the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whereas when Allah speaks about the evil ones and the evil that they do in this world, they attract the anger of Allah, meaning that they attract the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is one question that was asked, or that is being asked. Despite the current circumstances that we're going through, why doesn't Allah intervene and remove the virus? Why does Allah allow this virus to continue? And as a consequence, many people are dying because of it. A very interesting question. And we'll end with this question, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to constantly remind ourselves with this, because this is a constant question that is being asked by many people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this world, and He has applied certain rules and certain laws that govern this world. One of these rules is the rule of cause and effect. The second rule is the rule of free will, that every single human being in the world has free will. And through that free will, we are able to make choices, either bad choices or good choices. When we make a choice, that choice then has an effect. Again, it's bound by the laws of cause and effect. So whatever we do, there is an effect for it. So if I as a human being choose to eat and eat and eat, gluttony, I overeat, there's an effect to that. And the effect is that I will put myself into harm. Not only that, but I will affect the people around me, whether in my own family, emotionally or psychologically or even physically. And as a deeper issue or a bigger issue, I can affect the people in the community in turn. I'll give you another example. Sometimes our actions, whether we are mindful of it or we're not, has an effect on the people around us or in the community around us. When I take garbage and I just throw it away without disposing of it properly, sooner or later it will end up in the seas. And when it ends up in the seas, what happens is that it attacks many of the sea life that's there. I'll give you another example. This happened in Canada just last year when I was visiting as a lecturer. There was a day when I was there when one of the nearby forests caught fire. There was a wildfire. When I asked what caused the wildfire, they said, it's very normal for people to go hiking in these places and for people just to litter everywhere, just to throw garbage everywhere. And what happens is because of the heat during the summertime, some of these garbage, some of these materials, they catch fire. And because of the area and the environment, the trees catch fire, and this causes a wildfire. So there are hundreds of wildfires, and many of them last for days, many of them last for weeks. And there was literally a day where the whole sky was covered in smoke. As soon as you leave the house, you can smell the smoke. So you find that our actions, whether they are mindful or we are mindless or heedless of our actions, it has an effect in the community that we live in. We need to keep this in mind. When you look at, for example, the coronavirus, when you look at what initiated it, what led it to grow, what led it to spread, according to the news sources, they said that it was found in a wet market in China. And originally found in bats, which was then affected certain mammals, certain animals, which then affected human beings, and human beings began to spread it amongst themselves until it literally spread like a wildfire. Sometimes we have to understand that it's our actions that causes certain things to happen in the world, whether it is within our families, within our communities, or within the global societies. Our actions is at fault for creating the situation that we're in. Now, to try and prevent this from spreading and getting out of hand more than it is now, we're asked to confine ourselves, we're asked to stay within isolation and to act with social distancing and so on and so forth. Now the question speaks about, why doesn't Allah interject and remove this completely? Well, think about that. If Allah was to intervene and interject and remove the virus and save everyone from it, then it would by necessity, it would dictate that Allah has to remove all the different viruses in the world. The coronavirus, the COVID-19, is one of many active viruses in the world. So Allah will have to remove all of the different viruses. Not only that, but then Allah will have to remove all of the evils that exist in the world. From amongst them, ugliness. From amongst them, for example, death. From amongst them, poverty. From amongst them, other sicknesses, and so on and so forth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will by necessity have to remove all of the evil that exists in the world. If Allah removes all of the negativity and all of the evil in the world and leaves only the good, then what's the point of life? When you turn towards the Holy Quran, the Quran says, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. So we have placed you in this world to test you which one of you are the best in deeds. Meaning that you as insan, Allah is saying, you as insan, you have the free will to choose the good and the bad. You choose the good, you'll be rewarded. You choose the bad, you'll be punished for it. Having that in mind, if Allah was to remove all of the bad and leave the good, then what's the point of life? What's the point of heaven and hell? What's the point of my very existence in this world? Allah has created this world with the idea that all of mankind has free will. And each and every one of us will be accountable for our actions on the Day of Judgment. And not only that, our actions has repercussions and has effects that are manifested in this world. I hope that answers the question. If Allah was to remove all the evil in the world, then what's the point in life? Inshallah, I think we'll end there. And we'll continue next week, inshallah. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi tayyibin at-tahirin. Surah al-Mubarakat al-Fatiha.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عظم الله أجرنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بالحسين عليه السلام، وجعلنا وإياكم من الطالبين بثاره مع ولي الإمام المهدي من آل بيت محمد عليهم السلام. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله، السلام عليك يا وارث نوح نبي الله، السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله، السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله، السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله، السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين ولي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى، السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء، السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد قمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين، فلعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها، ولم تلبسك من مذلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين، وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي، وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين الشهيد، السلام عليك السلام عليك أيها الشهيد وابن الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم. لعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. السلام عليكم يا أولياء الله وأحباءه، السلام عليكم يا أصفياء الله وأوداءه، السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار رسول الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي محمد الحسن بن علي الولي الزكي الناصح، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله. بأبي أنتم وأمي طبتم، وطابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم، وفزتم فوزا عظيما، فيا ليتني كنت معكم فأفوز معكم. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن سيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا ابن أول القوم إسلاما وأقدمهم إيمانا وأقومهم بدين الله وأحوطهم على الإسلام. أشهد لقد نصحت لله ولرسوله ولأخيك فنعم الأخ المواصي. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة استحلت منك المحارم وانتهكت حرمة الإسلام. فنعم الصابر المجاهد المحامي الناصر، والأخ الدافع عن أخيه المجيب إلى طاعة ربه الراغب فيما زهد فيه غيره من الثواب الجزيل والثناء الجميل، وألحقك الله بدرجة آبائك في جنات النعيم. اللهم إني تعرضت لزيارة أوليائك رغبة في ثوابك ورجاء لمغفرتك وجزيل إحسانك، فأسألك أن تصلي على محمد وآله الطاهرين، وأن تجعل رزقي بهم دارا، وعيش بهم قارا، وزيارتي بهم مقبولة، وحياتي بهم طيبة، وأدرجني إدراج المكرمين، واجعلني ممن ينقلب من زيارة مشاهد أحبائك مفلحا منجحا قد استوجب غفران الذنوب وستر العيوب وكشف الكروب، إنك أهل التقوى وأهل المغفرة. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس، السلام عليك يا أنيس النفوس، السلام عليك يا مدفون بأرض طوس، سيدنا ومولانا علي بن موسى الرضا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك، واجعلنا من أصحابك وشيعتك ومحبيك وزوارك والمستشهدين بين يديك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم صل على